Hi, my name is Tamika Vaughn. I chose to pay tribute to W.E.B. Du Bois. One of the reasons why I chose him over Malcolm X, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Obama, or Booker T. Washington, who was like Du Bois' rival at the time, is because not a lot of people know about Du Bois' contribution to the civil rights movement and how that movement started with Du Bois but ended with Dr. King's dream. I was first introduced to Du Bois in an African American history course I took last year at RCC. I thought his message was amazing, and not a lot of African Americans today take his message to heart about being intellectual. He inspired me to continue my education to help others as a psychology major. I'm really in love with like history and this whole civil rights movement because a lot of you don't see a lot of countries or nations or a group of people come together like that, like they did in the 1960s and the early 20s and stuff like that. As of recently, you see that in like Egypt and the whole wanting to be a democracy over a dictatorship. So, like, I have a lot of respect for Egypt and how they're trying to come out of their situation and other countries in the Middle East. But Du Bois was born in Massachusetts on February 23rd, 1868. He was a prominent leader in the U.S. as a socialist, historian, civil rights activist, author, and editor. He was the first African American to receive his PhD in history from Harvard. In 1909, Du Bois and a few other socialists founded the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, which is also known as the NAACP. In 1910, he founded The Crisis, a magazine that informed issues that African Americans were having in the South to those who were living in the North, and vice versa. Du Bois rose to national attention in his opposition of Booker T. Washington alleged ideas of accommodation with Jim Crow separation between whites and blacks and disfranchisement of blacks in the South, campaigning instead for increased political representation for blacks in order to guarantee civil rights and the formation of black intellectuals who would work for the progress of African Americans at that time. He ultimately believed that African Americans who were intellects would bring African Americans as a whole out of their mental slavery complex, so to speak. I believe that Du Bois and Booker T. Washington were the Malcolm X and Martin Luther King Jr. of their day. Du Bois thought that Washington's Tuskegee Institute was setting black people up for failure to become 20th century slaves. At the time, Du Bois seemed radical in his approach to freedom and equal rights. Those who participated in white supremacy groups were for Booker T. Washington because he promoted trades like sharecropping, child care, and things of that nature. In my personal opinion, he wanted black people to grow. Du Bois wanted black people to grow intellectually and become doctors and lawyers. He didn't want black people to be something they had already been for many years as slaves. He wanted black people to know that they were equal with non-blacks. The NAACP was founded to ensure that the government and local states were upholding the Constitution and amendments that were put in place after Reconstruction. Du Bois was the voice of the civil rights movement. And through the magazine, The Crisis, and because of his voice and the movement, African Americans today are able to attend any university, sit on any bus or park bench, and become president. That's my time. Thank you.